Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining our online seminar. A warm welcome to the Tamkin community and all our viewers today. We're absolutely thrilled to host Evelyn Tye. Evelyn Tye here is here to present her seminar on the art of disruption, cultivating a better future. And with that said, I'll ask you to do one thing, and that is, I will encourage everyone to learn actively, take notes, and ask questions in the comment section. And with that said, Evelyn Tye, it's up to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's truly a pleasure and an honor to be here with you today. Thank you so much to La Fundación Tamkin, to its founder, Dr. Kadili, and to the entire lovely team for this invitation. I want to start with a question that might feel a little unsettling. What if the very professional rulebook that got us here is not holding us back? Now, before you get up and leave, let me be clear. I'm not saying that your hard-earned skills are worthless. Quite the opposite. Today, I'm not here to give you a definitive playbook. Instead, I will share lessons I have discovered along my own path, and I hope they will inspire you. Our institutions, our companies, and even our own minds share a common gravitational pull. A relentless drift toward the comfort of the known. We build routines, we codify processes, we hire what we know. It's a natural human impulse, a survival mechanism. But in a world defined by accelerating change, by chaos, if we are being honest, discomfort is a trap. It's what holds us back from true innovation and, more importantly, from building a better future together. This talk is a proposition. It's an argument that our greatest challenge and our most profound opportunity is to embrace disruption. And what is it exactly? Disruption, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, is simply an interruption in the usual way that a system, process, or event works. In my view, disruption is the essential productive catalyst for cultivating a wiser, more resilient society. The goal is to feel good about the future, to be inspired and to walk out of here with a mindset that sees chaos not as an ending, but as a beginning. Today, we are going to unpack this idea by looking at how we can get better at what we can call the art of disruption. We will explore how to wield as a creative spark. First, we talk about disrupting the hire, rethinking how we value talent. Second, we will discuss disrupting the method, changing how we work and create. And finally, we will explore the ultimate purpose, disrupting for good. Let's go with part number one, disrupting the hire beyond the resume. My journey is a little not linear. I'm a former lawyer who started my career in the Mexican government, where I was involved in everything from lawmaking and lobbying to implementing transparency policy and creating a new international affairs office. Then, kind of suddenly, I left that solid professional and personal life behind to move to Paris, a city I had always dreamed of living in. I knew nobody and didn't speak the language. Talk about a disruptive move. But I did it because deep inside, I trusted everything was going to be all right. I chose the unknown over safety because I had faith in our human capacity, a nature-given gift to learn, adapt, and translate skills from one world to another. And that's how I somehow ended up working in fashion, publishing for directional magazines like Actu Mode and Zep Football Fashion, as well as for established names like Le Figaro and FXZ magazine. How I got into fashion, that I will save it for another time. But for now, let me just say this. I was lucky to have leaders who believe in me, who were open-minded enough to see my potential and were willing to bring in a fresh perspective to improve their processes. Success is also about who we encounter along the way, but that is also a topic for another time. Because let me tell you, I have interviewed in France before, and I see people look at my CV and just get confused. It's a French system, a beautiful system in many ways, but one that can be a little bit rigid. They see a lawyer and then a fashion editor, and they wonder, what is this? Is she un peu folle? They fail to see the potential in a profile with accumulated diverse experiences. Someone who has succeeded in two different fields and different roles. Instead, some prefer to pass on me, driven by a fear of the unknown, a fear of taking risks. For the record, this isn't about evaluating a traditional linear career. We still need specialists in a single domain. You wouldn't want a heart surgeon who has switched careers 3 times in the last 20 years, right? But in a world where AI can automate up to 30% of hours currently worked and more every day, a single skill set is no longer enough. I'm talking about both hard and soft skills. We must embrace continuous learning to stay relevant. As DBS CEO Tan Su-shan notes, don't hire the knowledge, hire the attitude, because you want to hire people who are agile, humble, meaning people who understand they need to learn new skills to stay relevant. My invitation is this. Think of a multifaceted profile, not as a messy CV, but as a Swiss Army knife. It may not have the single sharpest blade, but its true value is in its versatility. In a crisis, you want to have someone on your team who has a tool for every unexpected problem, don't you? This requires a fundamental shift toward cultivating a culture of cognitive diversity. We must actively seek out and be open to minds that don't necessarily fit the mold. The true value of a multicultural perspective isn't just about language. It's about possessing different mental maps of the world, different frameworks for problem solving. This isn't a new mindset challenge. Have you ever heard of Eratosthenes? The ancient Greek polymath who was a brilliant mathematician, geographer, poet, and astronomer. Around 240 BCE, he famously calculated the Earth's circumference with remarkable accuracy, with only 1% margin of error to today's confirmed measurement, using only shadows and geometry. No tech, just his mind. His peers call him beta because he was considered a second best at everything simply for having several professions. What a shame. If that's a beta mind, what were they even were demanding for the rest? It's almost comical, isn't it? The fact that we are still calling polymaths beta shows we haven't evolved much since Eratosthenes' time. And that's the core of the problem. A beta mind is only a liability in a beta system. The real change isn't in the people themselves, but in the organizations that either dismiss or champion them. powerful modern case study of this philosophy isn't a single person, it's an entire ecosystem. The luxury group Kering is renowned for its approach to brand management. Rather than operating each brand as a silo, Kering creates a system where its different houses like Gucci, Bottega Veneta, and Saint Laurent can learn from each other. They foster a fluid exchange of talent and ideas across their portfolio, treating the entire group as a single dynamic hub of experience. This creates an environment where they can make a seemingly unconventional move, like appointing Luca Di Meo, an executive who comes from a completely different industry like automotive, as their CEO. As journalist Sheena Butler Young wrote for the Business of Fashion, they saw his ability to handle enormous pressure and shifting expectations and clean up messy back-end operations as universally transferable skills. The point isn't that a single person is a disruptor, but that the organizational ecosystem itself is designed to support and benefit from disruption. Kering didn't just hire a person from a different industry. They had already built the culture to integrate and leverage his unique perspective. It's about cultivating an environment where these Swiss Army knife profiles don't just exist, but where they thrive. Let's now move to part number 2, disrupting the method, the power of creativity and operational excellence. So we have found the right minds. Now what? Now we get to how. Our organizations are often meticulously designed to extinguish creativity. The enemy of creativity is the institutionalized fear of being wrong, a bureaucracy that optimizes for avoiding blame, not for achieving breakthroughs. This is, before going there, think of it as eschiamorph. Eschiamorph is a design element that makes something new feel familiar by imitating an old unnecessary feature. We see it everywhere, from the sound of a camera shutter on a phone to a digital calculator that looks like a physical one. In organizations, we have eschiomorphic processes, old ways of doing things that no longer serve a purpose but are kept out of habit. We have to be brave enough to ask, why are we still doing this? Steve Jobs looked at the old school phone keyboard and basically said, "You're fired." He knew it was a total fossil holding the iPhone back, so he put it to the curb. Remember that iPhone launch video? But let's be clear about creativity. It's not the exclusive domain of artists. Creativity is the most fundamental human faculty for bringing something new and valuable into existence. It is the primary antidote to stagnation. If we want to allow creativity in our organizations, we must be ready. We have to be okay with failure in that pursuit of progress. As Dr. Richard Roberts, a Nobel Prize winner in medicine, wisely points out, the scientific method is defined by failures. Every failed experiment gives us data and information that leads to a discovery. Failure is a crucial part of the process. It's where we find the breakthroughs. When I was 6 years old, my neighbor's older sister, who wasn't exactly my biggest fan, told my mom, "Your daughter has a lot of imagination." She meant it as a criticism, but I took it as the highest compliment. I truly believe that imagination and creativity were what brought me to Paris, the city I always dreamed of living in. We create our futures little by little, with will and with imagination, or the way around. The legendary film director Orson Welles, also actor, writer, producer, magician, once said he made Citizen K his first film with ignorance, sheer ignorance. He was simply naive enough to believe his imagination was the only limit. He had a great cameraman who didn't care about failure and told Wells he could learn everything he needed in a half a day. Wells' genius was not a lack of knowledge, but a freedom from the self-imposed rules of an inflexible system. This requires what the poet John Keats called negative capability, the capacity to exist in uncertainties, mysteries, and doubts without an irritable reaching after fact and reason. We must build cultures of profound psychological safety, where experimentation is rewarded, not just predictable success. This means moving from a culture of permission to a culture of initiative. A great case study in operational excellence is Holland's agricultural industry. As a small, densely populated country, the Netherlands could have succumbed to its geographical constraints. Instead, they embraced disruption and became the world's second largest exporter of agricultural products by value. They achieved this by using cutting-edge technology to create Food Valley, a hub of innovation that focuses on getting maximum yield with minimal use of water and fossil fuels. They didn't just accept their limitations, they used imagination and technology to transform their operations. This is about making things work better, more efficiently, and more sustainably, and doing so on a global scale. I invite you to read online the full article mentioned in the slide. It is worth reading for benchmarking or for collaboration if you are part of climate change initiatives. We are now moving to part 3, disrupting for good, the power of purpose. So we disrupt for our hiring and our methods. To what end? A better bottom line? That's where the conversation must pivot from the corporate to the communal. The ultimate purpose of this disruption isn't just institutional success, but societal flourishing. The challenges we face, from climate change to social polarization, from famine to the fear that AI will take our jobs, are too complex for any single discipline, nation, or corporation to solve. The data paints a grim picture. The World Wildlife Fund tells us we are in the midst of a sixth mass extinction. McKinsey reports that by the 2030, up to 30% of hours work in the US could be automated. We have all seen this meme of the dog in the burning room. The future can feel like that sometimes. But despair is not the only option. As my resilient Mexican culture taught me, there is always a solution, plan A, B, or C. I like to think that's why the American alphabet has 26 letters. It gives us 26 possibilities to solve every problem. We can always try another way. This is where the collective comes in. We must consciously build unexpected synergies. between technology and the humanities, between policy and art, between commerce and activism. This is the syntax of progress. A powerful case study is actually Stripe Climate. Patrick and John Collison didn't just build a successful payments company. They leveraged their platform to get thousands of businesses to automatically direct a percentage of their revenue toward carbon removal technologies. They saw a problem and used their platform to create a solution, disrupting the idea that profit and social good are mutually exclusive. It's a philosophy I have always embraced, a lesson I learned working in government. Funny, no? Where agencies collaborated for a shared goal. There were no silos back then. This is also where AI fits into the picture. The future of AI isn't a fixed conclusion. As Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, recently told The Economist, AI could even help treat once incurable diseases, but we must guide it with wisdom. And he also said the real challenge is making sure AI actually wants to help humans. This is why ethics and governance are so important. Our values are more critical than ever. We must, as Professor Dr. Emmanuel Goffey, AI ethicist, says, we must be forming citizens that are aware and are critical thinkers around the subject. A final thought, the 5 W's of disruption. This is a little model that I would like to share with you, just food of thoughts, if this may help. This model is built by the following 5 actions. 1, will, the inner fortitude to do hard things, to act on behalf of a worthy purpose in the face of fear. 2, wisdom, the ability to connect the dots and see patterns born from embracing cognitive diversity and challenging our own assumptions. 3rd, wonder, the profound sense of curiosity that propels us forward, the engine for innovation. 4, work, the application of our imagination and creativity, the act of building something new. And final, 5, and most importantly, the ultimate goal. The future isn't about me or you, it's about us. We must move from an I mindset to a we mindset because the biggest challenges we face require a shared sense of purpose. I will soon be co-launching a beautiful yet modest pro bono project on AI ethics with the wonderful colleagues of mine, a civil society initiative. All of this was born of imagination, creativity, bravery, and most importantly, a willingness to contribute. I hope to share more with you soon. As we face the future, which is undoubtedly full of uncertainty, I choose to think positively. I choose this way because I have the human power to design the future in my favor and in favor of others. When our wishes are balanced with the good of the world, things can unfold in an almost magical way. Uncertainty will always be there, but we can still imagine the best of it. We must think positively and not lose hope. What a small, brave, creative project will you take on this new season? Whether it's reaching out to a company you admire, joining a good cause, or simply starting a personal project. Let's be part of something bigger than ourselves and create a meaningful impact. a bit of humor to end. In that famous scene from Woody Allen's Annie Hall, a boy, Albie, is depressed because the universe is expanding and will one day break apart. His mom says, while being at the doctor's, "What is that your business? You are here in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is not expanding." But the doctor's simply wisdom is what stays with us. He tells the boy that the end is so far away, we should just focus on the here and now. He concludes by saying, "It won't be expanding for billions of years yet, Albie. We have gonna try to enjoy ourselves while we are here." Once again, I choose to stay positive about our future and do something about it. What about you?
Thank you very much, Evelyn, for that incredible, insightful presentation. We now have some time for questions. To the Tamkin community and everyone of our viewers, please feel free to type your questions in the chat and raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question verbally. We're open for questions. And I think we do have a question, Evelyn. You can see one in the chat.
Yes, because parentheses, we had to set up the presentation slightly different. I would just need to move.
No,
If
I
it's
can read them for
okay,
you, I think.
that's very kind of you. Otherwise, I can simply move from a screen.
No, all right. So I'll read them out and then you follow through. So the first one says, which industries are currently the most exposed to disruption? Which industries are currently the most exposed to disruption?
All right. I think pretty much, in humble opinion, all of them. I think we all as a society and organizations, companies, we all, well, living in a world where war is a subject that creates a lot of uncertainty, globally speaking, and with a corresponding economical impact. But if we just focus on one of the hot topics since 2023 for the general public, I think it's AI. And I think that impacts everybody from the personal perspective, from institutionally speaking, NGOs included. But yes, of course, you talk. The question was related to industry, but I think it's general because education, every single sector is being impacted by this constant change, and therefore we need to adapt so we are not left behind. So I think this is a general, I think for the first time, a problem. I don't like to call it a problem, let's just call it a challenge. It's quite democratic because it's touching everybody. So I would say every single industry is currently touched by disruption, and therefore we need to act as quickly as possible if we want to remain competitive. We will need to discuss each industry in order to determine which will be the best strategies. Each case is different, but I would say that only because during the presentation we focus on the creative element. I would say that even an industry that is close to me, like fashion and luxury, even them are being subject of this topic, even when they are already being, we are talking about a creative industry. They are facing a good amount of issues by themselves, which are making them more than ever feel obliged to act, reinvent, and not be left behind. So I think every single industry is now subject of it.
Thank you very much. Our next question comes from Abdali, and it says, what concrete tools or methods do you recommend for managing organizational impact of disruption?
Can you please repeat the very beginning of the question, please?
It says, what concrete tools or methods do you recommend for managing organizational impact of disruption?
I would like to tell you one in particular, but I think, and I have learned that there is no recipe that works for everybody. I think that every single company or institution is a world by itself. So depending on the case, we need to consider the best tools. If the person behind the question would like to reach out afterwards and give me a more particular case study or a particular problem, I would be delighted to try to provide some example of what tools I could suggest for that case. But generally, I couldn't provide one single recipe. I think it should apply for each particular case. If not designed from zero, if some organizations may have different infrastructure, the budget to potentially develop these by themselves. But of course, there might be some reference that can be implemented. But I would like to hear from you. Yeah, I'm happy to provide. Well, I can be reachable via LinkedIn, or maybe the Fundación can provide my email. But I can put it on the comments right after. But I think the case in particular will determine which are the best tools.
All right. Before going to the next question, I was told that you can actually view the questions if you stop the sharing the.
Okay. Yes. In that case, if that's okay, I will just need to move. So you may not see me, and then I will go and see the question. Is that okay?
No problem.
One moment, please. Yes, we are just changing the, yes. Thank you so much for your patience. Okay. Yes. Okay, so now the third question, how, if I'm correct, how can an established brand embrace disruption without losing its identity? But this is a very good question. And one actually has many marketers without sleeping because they're trying to figure this out. I think most importantly is to be patient. That would be the first ingredient of not to try to solve a challenge without losing the identity is to be patient, not to rush yourself, not because you see competitors implementing and succeeding apparently faster than you should never rush. I think that it's about understanding which are the limitations and little by little start taking one step after the other. While it's very important for a brand, regardless the industry, evidently to remain relevant in the corresponding industry, I think we need to accept that solutions and progress improvement takes time, and a very dangerous step would be to rush not only actions, mindsets when it comes to teams and resources. So I think that when you kind of take a good in-depth breath and realize, okay, we are here, this is our This is our challenge. What do we have? What can we do with what we have right now? And then take it from there. That would be one ingredient for me to potentially overcome these challenges, challenging times. Next question. What are the common mistakes companies make when trying to break the rules? Well, I think this is a very this question complements the previous one because brands, I will talk of my experience with working in the fashion industry where everything goes too fast and then don't even think about social media, right? I think precisely in that aim to gain the competitor, we go so fast that in that we lose our identity. So let's just think about, even if it's a very particular case, for instance, the case of Hermes, the luxury brand that despite adversity, despite economically challenge right now impacting every single brand, fashion, and luxury worldwide, they remain solid. And this is a brand known for actually not breaking the rules. It's a brand that has stayed loyal to their core values. And despite being in situations where they feel the pressure of the market, they remain trustful of what they are, what they believe in. So I think that would be the mistake, to accelerate yourself out of seeing what are doing the others, competitors, and lose yourself while trying to do so. So I think it is very important to privilege and not forget why you were born as a brand and which are your priorities. We were talking about values during the presentation. I think it's about not losing your values, despite of how scary could that be, because you think my competitor is not doing it and it seems to be succeeding. But let's not forget that sometimes success can be ephemeral. So we also need to build success that's a sustained success. So we need to be very careful about what are the actions that we take as, in this case, a brand. The next question, what are the common mistakes? Okay, you will excuse me. The last one, at least so far, what are in your view, thank you so much, Alexandre, what are in your view the main characteristics of a good disruption versus a bad disruption? Well, I think once again, while we give it all to innovate, stay loyal to your values. So I think that, for instance, talking about tech, and I think for those following the subject, those who are interested, for instance, in AI ethics, here at the La Fundación Tamkin, I know we have had the pleasure of welcoming how many wonderful experts in the field. I think that a good disruption is one that doesn't put in jeopardy the well-being, in this case, if I'm a brand, if I'm a company, the well-being of the people that works with me, and indirectly the society, those who I will serve, because sometimes by thinking in the customer, we also think in their immediate need, but also we need to understand what we can bring as an added value to a service or a product, right? It's also about what we leave behind. It's about our footprint, contribution for everything we do, right? So I think every time I have been part of a team or that I took on a project externally, those successful cases were the ones where leader, manager, and the operative team, they all came, they were communicating with the idea that if they were going to do something that could impact the way they were already working, that needed to be respectful, responsible towards each of them, customer and society. So I think once again, it gets back to the very elemental topic, which is values, and that are more needed than ever. So I would say that's what differentiates an entity going for a good or a bad disruption. I understand those are all questions. I don't know if there are more, or if I actually replied to your questions. I think the questions and the topic itself, I think we all will understand, is still abstract. And I think that sometimes, even when I was preparing this talk, I found myself trying to be as pragmatic as to find the most tangible way to convey the message. But even me, sometimes I had the challenge because it's hard to feel tangible actions where you also need to be respectful, in this case with moral values, ethics, etc. So I think that, and that is not really tangible. So it's I have seen it, and we have talked of examples here, but it's still a challenge. So that's why at the end of the presentation, I invite all of us to some efforts, because this is not a one single person or a one single company task. So we won't really think big. We need to come along. I don't possess the ultimate answer. All what I understand is that collaboration can facilitate that path towards a better society. I'm sorry if I cannot provide more tangible actions, but I will be happy again, and I will provide my email for those with very particular cases. I will be very happy to provide more specific tools if needed.
All right, I'd like to go once more. If there are any other questions, you can raise your hand and she'll answer you directly. Okay, that said, we've reached the end of our seminar. A huge thank you once again to Evelyn Tye for an absolutely fascinating and insightful presentation on the art of disruption, cultivating a better future. We're also incredibly grateful to the Tamkin community and everyone who joined us online today for your active participation. We hope you've gained valuable knowledge and new perspectives. Thank you for being with us, and we wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.